Hello everyone, welcome to Abhishek Educational Services. In today's video, we are going to talk about the current affairs of science and technology. In that, a very important topic is space. Now, if you noticed in the last few years, the kind of questions that have come from this particular topic belong to what kind of spacecraft and what kind of missions have they been sent upon, which agencies are involved in that, what is their purpose. These are the kind of questions that we largely find in this section. So, keeping that in mind, I have created an exhaustive list of all the current affairs in the last 1 year and all the spacecrafts and space missions that have been put in your current affair aspect from the science and tech in UPSC civil services. So, let's get to it. The document that I'll be using in today's video, the link for that document, you can download it, will be available in the description of this video. So do check that out for your current affair preparation as well. So let's start. Now, as far as the space is concerned, NASA has taken up multiple missions this year. So first is the NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission. So within this, it is for the it has the spacecraft that has departed from asteroid Bennu, and it has started its 2 year journey back to Earth. Basically, it is the NASA's first mission to visit a near Earth asteroid, survey its surface, and collect the samples from it. So, this is the first particular current affair. We just need to know who launched OSIRIS-REx and what was the mission. So, it was for asteroid Bennu. Now, next one is Cyber 2. Now, this is for counting of stars. Now, again, this is a NASA mission. And what does this stand for and what does it do? Let's see. Now, the aim of this Cyber 2 mission is to look for the evidence of extra stars that may have been missed in the stellar head count. And what we are trying to do is basically create a star count here. And how you do it is through sounding rockets. So basically, to sound means to take measurements. Since 1959, NASA has sponsored, space and earth science research using the sounding rockets. So we are trying to just take a good amount of measurement in terms of how many stars are there in the galaxies and so on. So what does CYBER stand for? So it stands for Cosmic Infrared Background Experiment 2. So basically, prior to this also there has been cyber launch. So that is cyber 1. Okay. So this mission is the latest in the series of sounding rocket launches that began in 2009. So just remember cyber 2, NASA, it's for counting your stars, and how it goes about, it is sounding rockets. That's how they are using it. And in this particular project, they are collaborating with European Space Agency also. Okay. And they are using the infrared space observatory that is at Herschel. Now, next one, NASA's Boeing Starliner spacecraft. So recently, Boeing, it's a private firm in USA. So its uncrewed Starliner Orbital Flight Test 2, that is OFT2, has been postponed once again. So the spacecraft, which is called a Crew Space Transport 100, that is CST 100, is a part of an uncrewed test flight to the International Space Station. So this mission is a part of NASA's Commercial Crew program. So basically, it is there to transport the astronauts from the Earth to the International Space Station. And for this, Boeing will be providing the services. Now, next is the NASA's Artemis program. So this is basically a program to send next man and first women to the lunar surface by the year 2024. Okay, so remember the year, and it is going to be a manned mission. Then the last time NASA sent humans to moon was 1972 during the Apollo lunar mission. That's famous, you all know it, Neil Armstrong. Now, what is the full form of Artemis? So it stands for acceleration, reconnection, turbulence, electrodynamics of the moon's interaction with the sun. And these are exactly the things that they want to be doing there. Now, Artemis 1 is most likely to be launched in 2021, which will be an uncrewed flight, so no humans there. And what they are going to do is to test the Space Launch System and the Orion spacecraft. Now, then the Artemis 2 that will be sent in 2023, and this will be the first crewed flight test. And then Artemis 3 aims at attempting the landing of the astronauts on the moon's south pole in 2024. So these are the aspects in the Artemis mission. Next one. So methane in the moons of Saturn. So this has been discovered. So again, it's a NASA mission. So there is a Cassini spacecraft which has detected an unusually high concentration of methane along with carbon dioxide and dihydrogen in the moon's Titan and Enceladus of Saturn. So during a flyby that happened, and there are certain plumes of it in 2017. This was discovered. Now, why these findings are important? So all these findings, they basically point towards some kind of life or lifelike organisms being present, because whenever we find methane, so there has to be certain methanogens, just like in Earth's crust. Microorganisms called methanogens are capable of generating methane, so as a metabolic byproduct. So we are trying and to find certain evidences of life there also, and that's where this becomes a particularly important finding. So just remember, Cassini spacecraft, the moons associated, that is Titan and Enceladus of Saturn. Okay, and what kind of findings are there? So ice particles, salt, hydrogen, organic molecules, and of course methane. So within then the methanogens, so they provide a link towards the some kind of organic matter there and some hints at life. Then Venus has been in news recently. There have been some findings with respect to that. One is that they have been able to correctly measure how many days or Earth days does it take for Venus to complete rotation. So that is 243.0226. This means that a day lasts longer than a year on Venus, which makes a complete orbit around the Sun in 225 Earth days. Then, the Venetian planet's core has a diameter of about 7,000 kilometers compared to Earth's core, which is 6,970 kilometers. So, that's why also it is called as Earth's twin. There are many similar properties with respect to Venus and Earth. Then the Venetian tilt is at about 2.64 degrees, while the Earth's tilt is 23.5 degrees. Then one major finding that has come up from Venus is the presence of phosphine. So this was detected in the atmosphere of Venus, which indicates the possibility of the presence of life forms on Venus. So certain gases, methane, phosphine, all of them, they point towards certain kind of life form. So this was the study that was published in the magazine Nature Geoscience, and still it is geologically an active planet. There are about 37 active volcanoes that are there in the Venus. So we need to look on to that. So certain facts about Venus, they may be asked directly as statements. So keep a lookout for those in your prelims paper. Then Tianwen 1. So this is China's Mars mission. Just remember the name and the country. Now this is going to be first Mars rover carrying along in this mission. So that is Zhurong. Now this will make China third country to land on Mars after US and Soviet Union. So China's previous Gingu 1 Mars mission was supported by a Russian spacecraft, and it had failed after it did not leave the Earth's orbit and disintegrated into Pacific Ocean in 2012. So this is the second attempt that China will be making, and it has already landed on the Mars. So that's that. Then China's Shenzhou 12 manned mission. So Shenzhou 12, just remember, it's a Chinese spaceship, and it will be carrying a three-person crew docked with China's new space station, that is Tianhe 1. So this has come after the launch of the Tianzhou 2 cargo spacecraft, which carried vital supplies to the space station. Now, China's seventh crewed mission has been done with this to the space, but it marked a number of firsts for the country. For example, the first manned one during the construction of China's space station, and the first in nearly 5 years after the country's last manned mission in 2016, and China's longest crewed space mission to the date. So, many achievements in terms of space for China. Now, what is the purpose of this mission? So basically, China is now creating its own space station because it is not a part of the International Space Station endeavor that is already there which will be lasting till 2030. So China is trying to create its own. There are other recent space missions that China has taken up. So let's have a look at those also. So China's Mars probe, so that is Tianwen spacecraft and Zhurong. I have put them all here together for you to easily remember and recollect. Then China's Moon probe. So this is in November 2020. It's a part of Chang'e's 5 mission, which landed on the moon's less explored far side and brought back the first lunar sample by any country's space program since the 1970s. Then China and Russia, they have also unveiled an ambitious plan for a joint international lunar research station running through 2036 that could be competing and possibly conflicting with the multinational Artemis Accord. So that is launched by NASA, as we just saw. Now, this is the China space station. A little bit work out into that. So there are several parts of it. So there is Shenzhou, Mengtian, Tianhe, Tianzhou, and Wentian. So you may be having a very straightforward question: to which of the following these terms or these things belong? So China Space Station, International Space Station, they may put something else there. So Shenzhou, Mengitan, then Mengtian and Tianhe, Tianzhou, Wentian, what are these? So these are all part of China's space station. Okay, one of them is science lab, then there is a lifeboat, then there is a cargo ship, and all that. All right. Then China's permanent space station, as we just talked about it. So this is the article about the entire China space station. So India is also wanting to set up its own space station in probably 5 to 7 years from now. China is already doing it. So within this space station, what all is involved? So the unmanned module of its permanent space station that it plans to complete by the end of 22 has already been launched. Now, the module named as Tianhe, or Harmony of Heavens, was launched using the Long March 5B, that is China's largest carrier rocket. So, as I was already telling you, that International Space Station is there already in this low Earth orbit, of which China is excluded. Only US, Russia, Europe, Japan, and Canada. These are the countries which are backing International Space Station right now. So it thought, why not build its own? Now, what is the significance of this for China? So, this will ramp up China's space program, and it aims at becoming a major space power by 2030. Okay. Moreover, since the International Space Station is about to expire by 2024, so then thereafter, China's space station being operational, that will create a good amount of niche for China. Then New Shepard. So this is taking tourists to space. So there is a company called Blue Origin, which is basically taking people to space as a part of space tourism. And it recently auctioned its seat on the New Shepard. It's a rocket system that takes the tourists to space, then of course brings them back. Now, little bit aspects that you need to remember about here is the first human flight on that was taken upon this was 20th July 2021, which marks the 52nd anniversary of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin moon landing. Now, New Shepard has been named after the astronaut Alan Shepard, so the first American to go to space, and offers flights to space over 100 kilometers above Earth and accommodation for payloads. Now, how do you create a differentiation that where the space starts and the atmosphere ends? So there is a concept of Kármán line. Listen to this carefully. So basically, this Kármán line is almost, it is calculated to be about 83.6 kilometers. Okay, it is named after Theodor von Kármán. This is an Hungarian American engineer and physicist. So this is basically the internationally recognized boundary of space, and once you escape this particular boundary, then you feel microgravity, that is basically weightlessness. Okay, now as per Kármán's calculation, this is 83.6, but now this has been placed at 100 kilometers. Okay, that's the international recognition that we have put it, because roughly it varies from place to place. So that's the average that has come up. Now, the first space turret that went through this particular craft was the US millionaire Dennis Tito. So he went in 2001, and he went on the Russian Soyuz spacecraft to visit the International Space Station and spent about 8 days there. Next is the discrete auroras on Mars. Now, there is a first mission by UAE, United Arab Emirates. So, they have sent a spacecraft called as Hope. So, it has captured certain images of glowing atmospheric lights in the Mars night sky. And this there is a discrete aurora, as you can see in the picture, that were found there. Now, this aurora is basically, caused by charged particles ejected from the sun's surface, which is also called solar wind, and gets trapped in the magnetic field. And due to that interaction, basically, auroras get formed. Now, that's how they are formed on the Earth, because Earth, as it is, acts as a single, magnet. But so is not the case with Mars. In case of Mars, there's a bit of difference here. So, unlike Earth, which has a strong magnetic field, the Martian magnetic field has largely died out. This is because the molten iron at the interior of the planet, which produces magnetism, has cooled. So, however, Martian crust has hardened billions of years ago when the magnetic field still existed, and there remains some magnetism upon the you know outer layer of Martian planet. And wherever this magnetism is, that's where you see the auroras. Okay, so this helps us in understanding the distribution of magnetic field on the Mars, which is largely uneven. And once you try and understand this, this also can offer you clues as to why the red planet lost its magnetic field and the thick atmosphere which it once had. So this is the kind of thing that we are also sometimes trying to wonder about our own planet, that how the magnetic field of Earth is changing and how it may happen in the long term. So studying a planet like Mars, which has already lost its magnetic field, it makes it that much more easier for us to predict the future of Earth as well. Now, there are other Mars missions that are in news in 2019, 20, and 21. So, one is NASA's Mars 2020 mission, that is the Perseverance rover, Tianwen 1, that is China's Mars mission, and India's Mars Orbiter mission, or Mangalyaan. So, the Indian mission was in 2013, Chinese 2019, and NASA 2020. So, these are the three major, and now there is the UAE's Hope, that's in 2021. Next in news is the suborbital flight. So basically, Virgin Galactic's VSS Unity spaceship. So it undertook a brief trip to the edge of the space and carried out a suborbital flight. Now, Shirisha Bandla, an astronaut born in India, was a part of the crew, and she was the third woman of Indian origin to go into space after Kalpana Chawla and Sunita Williams. Now, very important, if there can be a direct question that which of the following women have been to space from India. So these are the three names that you have to remember. Virgin Galactic is a British American space flight company, and it's operating from the US. Now, what is the almost orbital thing is that it will be going into the space and then just returning back. Okay, so here the definition of space is being put as per the Camel line itself, like we just discussed. So what is required for this? Let's understand some concepts related to space flight. So when an object travels at a horizontal speed of about 28,000 kilometer per hour or more, then it goes into the orbit once it is above the atmosphere. So the satellite needs to reach that threshold speed. It's also called as the orbital velocity, that is 28,000 kilometer per hour, in order to orbit Earth, so that it doesn't fall back into the Earth. Now, such a satellite would be accelerating towards the Earth due to gravity, but its horizontal movement is fast enough to offset the downward motion so that it moves along a circular path. That's how our satellites operate. So, any object which is traveling slower than 28,000 km per hour must eventually return to the Earth because the orbital motion is not sufficient to keep it in the trajectory. Now, any object that launches to space but does not reach sufficient horizontal velocity, so stays in space and falls back to the Earth. Then, hence, they fly in a suborbital trajectory. So that's what the suborbital trajectory is. So they'll go into the space and then eventually come back. Why? Because the orbital velocity that can ensure sufficient amount of balance against the acceleration due to gravity or the gravitational force. So that is not there. Now, moving on, geospatial technologies for water sector in India. So, water in India is a situation in crisis, and upon this, multiple news have been coming up. Now, as far as the geospatial industry is concerned, what is coming up in news? Let's see. So there is a report titled as Potential of Geospatial Technologies for the Water Sector in India. And this report has been given by Association of Geospatial Industries. So पहले तो यही important है अपने अपने prelims के लिए. Then what is the issue with respect to water sector in India? So there is a demand supply mismatch. India has about 17% of world population, but only 4% of the world's freshwater reserves. Now, out of this also, India's reservoirs stand at 250 billion cubic meter, while its total water bearing capacity over the surface is around 320 billion cubic meter. Now, as far as the collection is concerned, so the rate of collection is very low. Now, India receives around 3,000 billion cubic meters of water every year through rainfall and other sources such as glaciers. Of this, only 8% is collected. So ultimately, the rest is runoff or evaporated. Now, what happens? As far as the groundwater is concerned, so India fills the groundwater aquifers at the rate of 458 billion cubic meters per year, while it extracts around 650 billion cubic meters every year. So basically, extraction is more, filling up is less, and that's why drying up of aquifers. So 89% of India's water resources are used in agriculture, out of which 65% is withdrawn from underground. So thus one of the biggest challenges for us in India is to conserve the groundwater. Now, Niti Aayog has given a report on water stress, which says that currently nearly 820 million people in 12 major river basins in India face extreme water stress, which is a difficult situation. Qualitative issue as far as the water quality is concerned, that is also there. So groundwater in one third of India's 600 districts is contaminated mainly through fluoride and arsenic, and they are both disastrous for our health. Now, there is a 136% increase in the number of grossly polluting industries between 2011 to 2018, according to State of India's Environment Report 2019. So, this also poses a serious challenge as far as water resources in India is concerned. Now, there are certain ongoing water projects in India. So I have given a list of all of them which are under Ministry of Jal Shakti right now. Okay. Now, previously, water was a subject which was dealt almost by 9 ministries. Now, all of them have been put under one single ministry, that is Ministry of Jal Shakti. So the various programs under Ministry of Jal Shakti, maybe there can be a direct question in prelims that which of the following programs are under Ministry of Jal Shakti, or maybe you can have a match the following question as per the trends in UPSC. So do take care of this. So there is Jal Jeevan Mission, Dam Rehabilitation and Improvement Project, Namami Gange, National River Linking Program, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, National Hydrology Program, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, National Aquifer Mapping and Management Program. So it's called NAKIM. Then there is a River Basin Management, Atal Bhujal Yojana for underground water conservation, and National Water Mission. So the details of all these schemes you can find on our website, that is civilservicesonline.com. Okay, so they will be available in the current affair documents you can find under free resources. As far as space is concerned, so these are not the topics that we'll be covering right here, but definitely later on. Now, next is Gamma Ray Burst 2008-26A. Now, what is this? Let's try and understand. So, recently, a group of astronomers had detected a very short, powerful burst of high energy radiation, also known as gamma ray burst, which lasted for about a second. And that's a long time for a gamma ray burst to be lasting. Now, what is the name of this? So, basically, you just need to remember GRB 2008-26A for your prelims examination. That's very important. Okay, and they may just ask you what is this. So it is a gamma ray burst. Okay, now it was detected by NASA's Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope. What are gamma ray bursts? So they are the most powerful events in the universe. and they are detectable across billions of light years away. Okay. Now there are long and short gamma ray bursts. How they happen is basically whenever there is a creation of a black hole, and when that black hole is basically, these two uh, way movement of energy will be there. So whenever these neutron stars collapse, and this two-way energy force is moving outside, so as you know, black hole, there is a lot of gravity at the center, so even the light does not escape. So on one end there will be an entering matter, and the other end there will be a leaving matter. So these jets of gamma rays, they are thrown out when these jets are directly pointing almost directly towards the earth. That's when you detect a gamma ray burst. Okay. So the entire matter is swirling outside from both ends, and whenever that will be pointing towards earth, let's say there is earth on this side, so that's when you will register gamma ray burst. Okay. So what are gamma rays? So there are alpha, beta, and gamma, three kind of particles that come out of the nuclear reactions. Okay, so gamma rays are created out of that. So as on Earth, we created through nuclear fusion reaction or fission reaction, while in the universe they are continuously happening through the things like collapsing of a neutron star, or pulsars, or supernova explosions, or regions around black holes. Okay, so they are very high energy, highest possible energy lights in the universe. Okay, billion times stronger as compared to any kind of energy that is visible to your eyes. Fine. So that's gamma ray burst for you. Next is the Nauka module of Russia. So recently, Russian space agency Roscosmos launched its biggest space laboratory named as Nauka to International Space Station. Now, four astronauts were launched into ISS from Florida as a part of collaboration between NASA and SpaceX under the Commercial Crew Program, and this mission is called Crew 2, as we just saw. So, International Space Station, basically, there are five space agencies. There is NASA, Roscosmos, JAXA, ESA, and CSA from Canada. Okay, then near surface shear layer of the sun. Now, Indian astronomers from Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences, that's called ARIES, and Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, they have for the first time given the theoretical explanation of the existence of near surface shear layer in the sun. Okay, so one thing that you need to note is what is ARIES, the full form of it, that is Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences. And where is it? It is an autonomous institute under Department of Science and Technology. Now, what is this near surface shear layer? So, apart from the differentiation rotation between the equator and the pole, helioseismology has revealed that Sun has a near surface shear layer. Now, what is helioseismology? So basically, it's a technique of using sound waves to peek inside the Sun. Otherwise, you cannot, because it's always exploding. Now, NSSL is the region where very close to the visible solar surface, where there is a change in the rotation profile of the sun, and this layer exists very close to the solar surface, within which the angular velocity decreases rapidly with the radius. Now, this NSSL is thought to play a significant role in defining the nature of large-scale connective patterns that drives the sun's magnetism, and therefore the magnetic radiation and the waves across the solar system. Next, United Nations World Geospatial Information Congress. So this just took place at Hyderabad, and this will be there in 2022. Okay. Now, the event would show a glimpse of India's evolving geospatial ecosystem. So, remember the place, Hyderabad, it will be held in 2022. Now, who is organizing it? So, it is organized by United Nations Committee of Experts on Global Geospatial Information Management, that is UNGGIM. Okay. So, the objective is to enhance international collaboration among the member states as far as their geospatial information management and capacities are concerned. So, as of now, this meeting is conducted once in every 4 years. The first such UNWGIC was organized by China in October 2018. Now, the theme for this second meeting will be geo enabling the global village. So remember the theme, remember the place where it is going to be held, that is Hyderabad 2022, where it was held, that's in China. Okay, and what is it for? It's for cooperation and management of geospatial information. Okay, now in India, Ministry of Science and Technology is going to be the front runner in this entire thing. So it has released new guidelines for the geospatial sector in India. So I've given you those guidelines here. So what are those guidelines? Let's take a brief look. First is open access. So as far as the geospatial data and services are concerned, including the maps for all the Indian entities, so there will be open access with the exception of sensitive defense and security related data, of course. Then it envisages the benefit of geospatial technologies to reach urban as well as rural areas and make geospatial information accessible to all. So most of the restrictions have been removed. We were primarily concerned about the privacy and everything, but now Indian corporations and innovators are no longer subject to restrictions, nor do they require prior approval before they collect, generate, prepare, disseminate, store, or publish the digital geospatial data and maps within the territory of India. So there can be a very direct question on the policy itself because such opening up has recently happened. Okay, and there can be also a connected question with respect to this concept. Now, there are other recent initiatives with respect to geospatial aspect in India. First one is Sarthi. So this is the Survey of India, which has developed, a web geographic information system or GIS, which is called as Sarthi. It will help users in creating applications for geospatial data visualization, ताकि हम और आप जो हैं वो उसको देख सकें, उसको यूज कर सकें, एनालाइज कर सकें. Okay. Then online maps portal. So basically, again, Survey of India has over 4,000 maps with national, state, district, and tehsil level data. So these have been indexed for the end user. So you can have real-time information, and this will be the official maps. Then there is Manchitran. So this is National Atlas and Thematic Mapping Organization. So it has released thematic maps such as cultural maps of India, climatic map, economic map on the portal. So very useful for your UPSC preparation also in case you want resource or cultural studies or anything. So do look into this Manchitran maps. Okay. Then there is Bhuvan. So this is a geo portal developed and hosted by ISRO, and it will be having all the geospatial data, services, and tools for analysis. There is a collaboration with MapMyIndia also. We'll be looking into that shortly. Then there is an association of geospatial industries which has released a report which is potential of geospatial technologies for water sector in India, as we just went through. Now, new geospatial planning portal has been announced by Government of India, that is Yuktdhara. So remember the name and the purpose. Now it is under Ministry of Rural Development which has launched this particular portal Yuktdhara, and this will basically help in facilitating Manrega assets and with the use of remote sensing and GIS, that is Geographical Information System. So this is a new portal under Bhuvan itself. So basically for your resource information and everything as to how things are going on the ground. They will be easily studied. Okay, so it's a combined effort of ISRO and Ministry of Rural Development. So what they want to do is they want to realize the government to government services for rural planning in support of decentralized decision making. So this will serve as a repository of assets. So we'll create certain geotags as to whatever assets have been created under Manrega and under the other rural development programs which are going on. So such as per drop, more crop, integrated watershed management, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, and so on. So along with field level photographs. So let's say if you open up a portal, so you will be able to see a particular photograph geotag. If you click on that, you will be able to see what is the ground reality of that situation, what asset has been created, just like on Google Maps that you have photographs. Okay. So it will integrate a wide variety of thematic layers, like in Google Maps, you get satellite data, routes, then photographs and everything. Similarly, so there will be multi-temporal, high-resolution Earth observation data with analysis tools. Then there is Bhuvan portal. So like I told you before, so this is again relying upon the geographic information or the geospatial data that we have. And under the Bowen portal, by using MapMyIndia maps and the application instead of foreign mapping apps such as Google Maps, the user can best protect their privacy, and this will also be beneficial for providing real-time information to the government as far as the mapping of the country is concerned. It will show the true borders of the country as per the information available with the government of India, so that sometimes, China is always trying to create a what we call as cartographic aggression. So we will be saved from that. Okay. Then next is Micius. So this is a quantum-enabled satellite. Very important. Quantum computing has been in news like anything this particular year. So this particular satellite has been launched by China. Okay, so it's the world's first quantum communication satellite, and it was launched in 2016. Now what has happened is it has sent light particles to Earth to establish the world's most secure communication link. Why? Because that's how quantum computing works. Now, basically, there are certain properties of quantum computing that will help it make more secure for communication between Earth and the satellite. So satellite serves as a source of pair of entangled photons. And the entangled photons are the twinned light particles whose properties remain intertwined no matter how far apart they are. So maybe one is on Earth and other is on satellite. So once you try and change the properties or any kind of physical situation of the entangled photon on the satellite, the other one on the Earth will automatically behave. So it is the property that lies at the heart of the most secure form of quantum cryptography. And if one of the entangled particles is used to create a key for encoding messages, so only person with other particle can decode them. So that's how it works. So this is just an explanatory figure with respect to quantum satellites, Micius. Okay. So you don't need to worry too much about the technical aspects as to how quantum computing works. Okay. Just remember two, three things that I'm telling you. One is the satellite's name, who launched it, when, and what are these entangled photons. Okay. And you just need to remember that they are twinned light particles and whose properties are connected to each other, how far apart they may be. If the properties of one are changed, then the other will be changed as well. Okay. Then, so India-based Neutrino Observatory, next one in news. So an India-based Neutrino Observatory is going to be set up in Bodhi West Hills in Theni district, Tamil Nadu. So there is this is called I know project. So it's a multi-institutional effort and aimed at building a world-class underground laboratory because we want to be studying neutrinos in India as well. So there is a national neutrino collaboration group which includes around 50 scientists from 15 universities and institutes across India. Now, this is funded by the Department of Atomic Energy and Department of Science and Technology. And the objectives are basically to observe neutrinos and antineutrinos produced in the atmosphere of the Earth. And this is one of the fundamental particles. So, this will help in creating and taking forward fundamental research. Next one in space is dust samples from Hayabusa 2. Now, if you remember, so Japanese, space administration, that is Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, it's a counterpart of ISRO in India and NASA in America. So it has received the capsule from unmanned Hayabusa 2. So this will be carrying the first extensive samples of dust from asteroid Ryugu. So basically, they landed, and from there it sent this particular sample. So why we are interested in asteroids and comets are because they are primitive bodies that have been created during the Big Bang, just like our solar system. So our understanding of the solar system, how it evolved, what was the birth point and everything, that increases when we can study samples from these asteroids and comets. So remember in this Hayabusa 2, it's by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, and asteroid Ryugu. Next is Sentinel 6. So this is a satellite which has been launched, to study the ocean surfaces and any kind of rise in sea levels. So that will be detected by this particular satellite. So the full name is Copernicus Sentinel 6. So this is a Michael Frillich satellite. So it was launched from the Vandenberg Air Force Base in California aboard a SpaceX 9 rocket. Now, what it does is it will be monitoring changes in the surface height with an accuracy of few centimeters, and it's vital for predicting sea level rises, which are currently almost 3 millimeters per year, to protect the coastal region. The mission will work for up to 7 years, and Airbus is the satellite's prime contractor for building on the heritage from almost 20 plus satellites that they are already having it. Okay, so it will globally map the sea surface topography every 10 days. So this way, it is going to be beneficial for us to understand the ocean surface and the rise in the sea levels. Now, this is particularly a joint effort of ESA, NASA, NOAA, and UMETSAT. So it's not a single agency workout; it's a collaborative workout. Okay. So these are the facts that you need for your prelims. Very, very important this year. Next is Gaganyaan mission. So, Union Ministry of Science and Technology has recently informed that there will be a second unmanned mission. Okay, so through the human spaceflight module of Gaganyaan, and it will be launched somewhere about 2022, 2023. Now, due to COVID, there has been a delay. Okay, and right now the first unmanned mission is planned in December 2021, and after that we'll be going for a human spaceflight module of Gaganyaan in 2022, 2023. Now, as far as Gaganyaan is considered, so what is it for? So it is going to create an orbital module, so which will have three Indian astronauts, including a woman. Okay, it will circle the Earth's lower Earth orbit at an altitude of 300 to 400 kilometer for about 5 to 7 days, and this will basically help us in testing our capabilities as to sending humans into space. Okay, how it will be working. So this is the working diagram of the Gaganyaan mission. So we'll be launching from Sriharikota on the GSLV Mark III rocket, and 16 minutes will be the time required to reach the lower Earth orbit. So the orbit module then basically stays there for about 5 to 7 days. Then it changes direction, reorients itself, and then there will be separation of the crew and service modules. Then the crew module is going to land basically somewhere near the Arabian Sea off the coast of Gujarat. So the entire thing is going to last for about a week, and it's going to cost at almost 10,000 rupees. And basically, this will put India into the category of those countries which have been able to send manned space flight missions. So that is US, Russia, and China. They have been the only three countries so far to do it. India will be the fourth nation to do it. Okay. Now, for this particular purpose, our astronauts have been training at Russia. So there is a government-owned, facility in Russia, that is Lab Cosmos. So this in June 2019, they have gone for training there. So that's that for Gaganyaan. Next, Bhuvan portal we've already talked about. So it's by ISRO and MapMyIndia, and it will be an indigenous geospatial portal. Okay, it has been in use for a very long period of time. The UPSC has already asked some questions about it in prelims with respect to IRNSS. Now they may ask you directly upon Bhuvan. Okay. Now what will it do? It is basically providing you a web portal for which you can find and access geographic information and associated geographic services via internet. So for this, it has collaborated with MapMyIndia. Okay, and the entire thing is working through navigation in Indian constellation, that is NAVIC. Now, what is the significance of this portal? So there will be true maps, it will protect your privacy, and will be an Atmanirbhar Bharat endeavor. Now, a little bit about NAVIC. So it's already there in your part of your notes now. So it is an Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, that is IRNSS. Now it is developed by ISRO, and three satellites in geostationary orbit are there as a part of it, and five are in the geosynchronous orbit. So this will be, now working just like the US Global Positioning System or GPS, but within a 1500 kilometer radius over the Indian subcontinent. So in exam, they may ask you a question that whether it is working only on India. No, it is the Indian subcontinent. Okay. Now it has been certified by 3GPP, that is Third Generation Partnership Project, which is a global body for coordinating mobile telephony standards. Now this will improve navigation. The potential uses include terrestrial, aerial, and marine navigation, disaster management, vehicle tracking, fleet management, integration with mobile phones, precise timing as for ATMs and power grids, mapping, and geodetic data capture. Other global navigation systems that we already have. So there can be a match the following question. So there is Beidou from China, Galileo in Europe, GLONASS in Russia, and Quasi Zenith Satellite System QZSS in Japan. Next is NASA's Mars 2020 mission. So, like we already discussed, that NASA is sending multiple missions to Mars, and in that there are multiple equipment. So, what questions can be there in prelims? Let's see. So, first is it wants to assess ancient habitability in Mars. Was there any kind of life form on Mars ever? Then it wants to demonstrate technology for future robotic and human exploration of the Mars. The entire mission will be for one Martian year, that's almost 687 Earth days. There are several instruments, so seven instruments, two microphones, and 23 cameras in total, which will be going in this mission. Now, some of the important ones first is MOXIE. So, in paper, there can be a simple question MOXIE, rimfax, and any of these names they can pick up and they can write what are they related to, and then you have to simply pick up the Mars mission, and that's NASA's Mars mission. Okay. So what is MOXIE? So basically, this is important. It's a Mars oxygen in situ resource utilization experiment. Now, this will use the power to produce oxygen using atmospheric carbon dioxide, which is already available in Mars. Once this is successful, it will provide two very critical conditions. One is oxygen for breathing for human beings, and rocket fuel for trip back to Earth, because oxygen is a supporter of combustion and we'll need that. Now, other instruments, you just need the name Rimfax, Mars Helicopter, Mastcam, Supercam, all of them are cameras, as you can know. Then there's Pixel, that is planetary instrument for X-ray lithochemistry. So lithochemistry basically means the soil chemistry. Then Sherlock, that is scanning habitable environments with Raman and luminescence for organics and chemicals. So this is basically a spectrometer which is going, and first one with the Raman effect within that Raman spectroscopy. Then Mars Environmental Dynamics Analyzer, that is MEDA. So just remember the names Rimfax, Pixel, MEDA, Sherlock, etc. And you should be able to associate them with the particular mission, that is NASA's Mars mission. Okay. Then recently 53rd flight of ESLV 51 so was done. So this marked the first dedicated mission for the New Space India Limited NSIL, which is the commercial arm of ISRO. If you remember, there was an Antrix Devas case earlier, and now that commercial arm is off, and now it is NSIL. Okay. So in this flight, ISRO has successfully launched Brazil's optical Earth observation satellite Amazonia 1 and 18 co-passenger satellites from India and USA from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, that is SHAR at Sriharikota. And this is the space port of India. Then International Lunar Research Station. So this is being coming up as a joint project of Russia and China. So what they are doing here is trying to set up an international lunar research space station on moon's surface itself. So this will help them to have a autonomous operation, and what they want to do is to build on the lunar surface this particular station, so that they can carry out the scientific research activities from right there. Now, as far as NASA's Artemis mission is concerned, China is not a part there. So this will be like a competitive mission there. Other missions which are going to moon are UAE's Rashid. Okay. So along with that, China's Chang'e 4 and Chang'e 5 missions. So they are also now lunar missions. So remember, there can be a question, which of the following are lunar missions? Very simple. Okay. Now, India's similar initiative So it's Chandrayaan. So India is right now working on Chandrayaan 3, which is a successor to Chandrayaan 2 mission, and it will likely attempt another soft landing on lunar surface. So after creating this, you know, the moon mission, China is very well looking into creating its own space station, as we already talked about it. India is also trying to create its own space station in the low Earth orbit. Next, ISRO's international cooperation. So, ISRO has recently been collaborating with all kinds of space exploration agencies. So, recently it has done so with Japanese JAXA, and this is for the Earth observation, lunar cooperation, and satellite navigation. So, there is a particular mission which is already in place. So, that is India and Japan. So, they are working on lunar polar exploration mission, that is LUPEX. So, just a simple question can be there, that LUPEX is our joint venture between which of the following? So India and NASA, India and European Space Agency, or India and JAXA, like this kind of a question can be there. So LUPEX aims to send a lander and a rover to the moon's south pole around 2024. Then other such collaborative events that have been carried out by ISRO are Chandrayaan 1, in which it collaborated with NASA to discover water on and prove water on the moon mission. Okay, water molecules. Then Megatropics, which is India and France joint venture. So it was launched in 2011 to study the tropical atmosphere and climate-related aspects such as monsoons and cyclones. Then there is Saral. This is another Indo-French joint mission. So it is satellite for Altica and Argos for studying the ocean from space using altimetry, and this was successfully launched in 2013. Then there is NISAR. So this is a joint operation of ISRO and NASA. So this is a joint satellite mission, and they will be contributing to the Earth science study through the synthetic aperture radar. So the full form of NISAR is NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. So they will observe Earth and measure its changing ecosystem and masses globally. And this is world's most expensive imaging satellite. And the two space agencies have launched it jointly. Will be jointly launching it in 2022. Next is Unnati. So this is ISRO's capacity building program on nano satellites, and this is basically an initiative of Unispace Plus 50, that is the 50th anniversary of first UN conference on exploration and peaceful use of outer space. Okay. Then there is Trishna. So this is a joint deal between ISRO and French Space Agency (CNES), and they have partnered in developing the upgradation satellites like Trishna to monitor the water cycle and to help in finding out proper ways to utilize it. So all these are the collaboration missions of ISRO so far. Okay. Now going on to the next aspect in the space is asteroid 2001 F032. Now this is the largest asteroid to pass the Earth in 2021. That's all you need to know about it. And it was closest to Earth on 21st March 2021. Okay. So that's the report predicted by NASA. Then there is something about moving black hole, which was in news. So the first moving supermassive black hole whose mass is about 3 million times that of our sun. So the black hole was traveling within its own galaxy. So this is the name of the galaxy, J0437 plus 2456, which is around 228 million light years away from the Earth. Now, what is a black hole? You already know. I've just placed this information so that those who don't know, they can learn. So the concept was theorized by Albert Einstein in 1915, and the term black hole was coined by John Archibald Wheeler in about mid 1960s. He's an American physicist. Now, usually, black hole basically it's when the matter gets compressed to such a small space that the gravity expands infinitely. So, in that space, nothing is going to escape, not even light. So, that's what creates a black hole, and that's where the name comes from. Now, there are two kinds of black holes. One are the normal ones, and other are the supermassive ones. The normal ones range between few solar masses and about 10 times the mass of the sun, while the supermassive ones can be hundreds of thousands and billion times that of the mass of the sun. So that's the difference between a normal black hole and a supermassive black hole. Now, in April 2019, scientists at the Event Horizon Telescope projected a release, and the first image of black hole came in into the news. So that is also important for you. Which telescope has been used? So that is the Event Horizon Telescope, and this basically is a group of 8 radio telescopes lying in different parts of the world. So gravitational waves are created when two black holes orbit each other and merge, and those are the gravitational waves that we are able to understand. Now, why this particular figure I have given you? So there are certain aspects or elements of a black hole. So there will be an accretion disk, there will be an event horizon, and there will be a relativistic jets. So these are the three parts of black hole, and there can be a simple question that the followings are part of which of the, like they may put accretion disk, event horizon, relativistic jet are part of which of the following. So you just answer black hole. Okay. So accretion disk कुछ नहीं है, it's a swirling mass of matter which is just spiraling around that space. Okay, so either it is going in or it is ejected. Then relativistic jets, so these are extending out hundreds of thousand light years from the black hole, so they are moving on both sides. Okay, and event horizon is basically the gravitational boundary beyond which neither light nor matter can escape, so that's the event horizon. Okay, so these are the parts of black hole. Next is narrow line Shephard 1, NLS1. So this is the farthest gamma ray emitting galaxy. That's all that you need to remember about it. It was just a fact in news, and sometimes in science and tech questions, such kind of factual questions can be very disturbing. So for that exhaustive coverage, I have put it here. Next, support center for Aditya L1. So Ares facility, as we already talked about. So this will host the support center for Aditya L1 mission, which is due to be launched next year, 2022. Now, Ares, this is an autonomous institute under Department of Science and Technology, and it's located in Nainital, Uttarakhand. Now, what is this Aditya L1 mission? So this will be India's first scientific expedition to study the sun. Okay, it will be ISRO's second space-based astronomy mission after Astrostat, which was launched in 2015. In this Aditya L1, basically the L1 stands for the Lagrangian point 1, which is basically 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth. Now, the space-based observatory will have 7 payloads or instruments on board that will study sun's corona, solar emission, solar winds and flares, coronal mass ejection, and will carry out round-the-clock imaging of the sun. Okay. Now, in this, there are certain other missions which are directed at Sun this year, just like you studied for Moon. So here are the missions which are directed at Sun. First is Japan's Solar Sea EUVST. So that is Extreme Ultraviolet High Throughput Stereospecific Telescope Epsilon. So just remember CEUVST. Okay. So this would be studying the solar wind released by the solar atmosphere, as well as studying the how this atmosphere drives solar material eruption. Okay. Then there is NASA's EZ mission, EZEI, that is Electrojet Z-Man Imaging Explorer. Okay. Now this mission is basically trying to understand the atmosphere of Earth and the electric currents in it and their link to the aurora. Okay, and the magnetosphere. So basically the entire magnetic field around the Earth and how it is being created by the sun's flares. Then NASA's Parker Solar Probe, that is aiming to trace how the energy and heat move through sun's corona and to study the source of the solar wind's acceleration. It is a part of NASA's Living with the Star program that explores different aspects of the sun's Earth system. Now, next is the Helios 2 solar probe. So, this is again a joint venture between NASA and the Space Agency of West Germany. So, this went within 43 million kilometers of the sun's surface in 1976. So, that's an old one. So, for this year, you just need to remember, apart from the Ares mission, that is Aditya L1, there is Japan's Solar Sea EUVST, NASA's EASY mission, and NASA's Parker Solar Probe. Okay. As far as what are these Lagrangian points, so they are the points between the Earth and the Sun system. So there are five Lagrangian points. What happens is when you are going from Earth to Sun, so you will be going in an elliptical path like this. So every time you shoot off a little more, and this way there will be Lagrangian points. So they are basically related to gravity. How they are related, let's see. So these are positions in space where the gravitational forces of a two body system like the Sun and the Earth produced enhanced regions of attraction and repulsion. Now, because of that, you will be able to, just like a slingshot, go more into the space closer to the Sun, and they can be used by a spacecraft to reduce fuel consumption needed to remain in position. So, if you are here, so you will be in a kind of a neutral position. That's Lagrangian point one. And even this is 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth, or about 1/100th of the way to the Sun. Okay. So a satellite which is placed in the halo orbit around Lagrangian point one has the major advantage of continuously viewing the Sun without any eclipses. So there will be no moon there to obstruct your view. So L1 point is home to the SOHO, that is Solar Heliospheric Observatory Satellite, which is an international collaboration project of NASA and European Space Agency already. So now this particular mission, that is Aditya L1, will also be there in the L1 position. Okay. Then next is the Baikal GVD telescope. So Russian scientists have launched one of the world's biggest underwater neutrino telescopes. That's called Baikal GVD. That is gigaton volume detector. So this is being placed in the deepest lake in Siberia. That is the Baikal Lake, and this is for the study of neutrinos. So this is one of the fundamental particles that we have. Okay. Then Crew 2 mission. So four astronauts were recently launched to the International Space Station from Florida as a part of NASA and SpaceX under the Commercial Crew Program, and the mission is called Crew 2 mission. Basically, it's like a freight service between International Space Station and America. So that's being carried out in collaboration with SpaceX. Now, in this, the partnership between NASA and private industry is being done, in which basically NASA is a service gainer. Okay. Now, NASA at this point of time is just not using its own spacecrafts. As you remember, space shuttle program used to be there with NASA. So they have discarded that and now they're building their own. So NASA can focus on building spacecraft and rockets meant for deep space exploration missions. So for low Earth orbit, now they're just taking a taxi ride with SpaceX. Okay. So Boeing and SpaceX, so they have created such a collaboration with NASA in September 2014. So in any case, you need to go to International Space Station, they'll just taxi a ride. Okay. Think of it as a new kind of Uber. Okay. So recently, Indian government has also announced opening up the space sector to private players, and with the inception of Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center in space. If you remember, it's a part and parcel of the Atmanirbhar Bharat program that we created in India in the struggle to create certain kind of economic uh, jump during the post-COVID situation. Next, mission to Venus. So this is by European Space Agency. Now, it is a European Space Agency led mission with the contribution from NASA, and it is likely to be launched sometimes in 2030. And this will be basically to study Venus. The aim is to study the planet's atmosphere and surface, monitor trace gases. We already know there is certain gases which are of interest to us, such as phosphine, that have been found there on Venus. So they want to explore it more. Now, Envision will follow another ESA-led mission, that is mission to Venus, called Venus Express. So this happened in 2005, 2014, that focused on the atmospheric research and pointed to the volcano hotspots on the planet's surface, as we earlier saw. There are certain other missions to Venus like Da Vinci Plus. So this is short for Deep Atmosphere Venus Investigation of Noble Gas, Chemistry and Imaging. So this will be the first US-led mission to the planet's atmosphere since 1978. So this will be on board this particular mission. This is one of the instruments there. Okay, on the Envision mission. Then there is going to be Veritas. So is the Venus emissivity, radio science, INSARS, topography, and spectroscopy. Basically, they are trying to analyze the thick and thin of the planet. Okay, just remember the both the instruments Da Vinci Plus and Veritas, and they are related to Envision mission, which is for Venus. It will be taking up in 2030, and this is a joint effort of NASA and European Space Agency. Okay. Now, as far as space is concerned, these are all the current affairs that you have to deal with. Okay. Now, for more current affairs with respect to different topics in science and technology, we will be coming soon with new videos. So stay tuned to this channel, subscribe and press the bell icon. Don't miss out on any alerts. So I'll be regularly putting up videos with respect to all the current affairs which are required for your UPSC prelims. Thank you so much for watching. It's me, Abhishek Sharma, signing off.